that is supernatural. I had a body. It was a spiritual body. It wasn't like this one, but it was a spiritual body nonetheless. And there were these worms crawling all over me. They were burrowing their way in and through me as they pleased. The smell that came from them was the absolute worst of all. Every time they went inside of me, it felt like a white hot nail being pulled through your veins. And if I tried to get them off, I would just go right through them. I couldn't grab them. Like, you can't pick them off. And they go wherever they want to go. I watched as chunks of flesh were falling off, still burning and falling to the ground. I looked over at my right arm and I'm seeing the same thing, chunks falling and slipping off and sizzling while they fell. But when I looked back at my left arm, that flesh that had fallen was suddenly right back, and it was starting all over again. And I realized wherever I'm not looking, it's regenerating. And you just have to watch yourself roasting and burning and sizzling and falling apart, but you never die. All I can think is that the Lord had rewired my mind, if you will. It was as if I was a person who was in hell, who had never known him, who had rejected Jesus, never given God the time of day, didn't want anything to do with God. Because at first I was in an absolute panic of, what is this place? Where am I? What had happened, you know? But then once I'm starting to see more and more, I'm starting to realize, I think I'm in hell. This has to be hell. And I thought to myself, why am I alone? And the instant I thought that, I began hearing screams of millions and millions and millions of people. And their screams and their terror and their torment was absolutely unbearable. I could not handle this noise. And I knew I couldn't see them, but they were there. And there was nothing I could do to help them. And I looked over, because I'm realizing this flame it's so intense. It's like a rocket is blasting off, but it's shooting that away, is how intense it was. And I'm looking to my left and I'm seeing, like, I'm in this cavernous tunnel. It was just, that was it. It was rocks and darkness and flames. That's it. And I looked down and I realized this tunnel's going off as far as I can see. And so I looked to my right, and that's when I saw a man, and he was seated next to me, and I was seated too, just like on a rocky ledge. And I had these chains, like cuffs on me. I was chained to the wall and I was in a seated position. That's what I was. And he was too, but he was very obese. He was very obese, but again, a spirit body. The instant I looked at him, I knew everything about him. The need to know would be, I knew his name was James. I knew he died at age 55 of a heart attack. And I knew that he did not value his body nor his life, and especially not God. All his life, he wanted nothing to do with God. He had the conviction in him, but he's like, I don't believe in you, but just in case you do exist, I hate your guts. That was kind of his lifelong attitude about the whole thing. I'm seeing this. And on his stomach, his obese stomach, I'm seeing boils begin to form from the heat coming across him. It's like you're being broiled alive. You're just being constantly broiled, but you never die. These bubbles would form, and then they would pop, and the smoke would just roll up into his nose and go down into him.